you move to the commentary room? Good evening, everyone. Hopefully no one heard that little bit of backroom chatter. Anyway, it's me, Woat, again. And with me in the booth tonight, we've got Tilo on hand. How you doing, Tilo?
I'm doing pretty well. Looking forward to this 4-player showdown.
Yeah, it should be pretty good. I mean, if nothing else, I'm already excited because I think this is the first time this entire tournament that we have 4 people on screen and none of them are using the same party.
Oh, yeah, that definitely is going to bring in a different dynamic. I also find this one interesting because both Falconic and Whitemageisaguy are both very new players, and so at the end of the day, one of them is going to be 2-0.
Yeah. That's very true. papafoiz and miaut are both a little older hands, so fortunately, it's kind of evenly matched on both sides in that regard. So we've got a black mage forced, so it looks like everyone kind of opted to go for things that can take a punch, aside from papafoiz, who has opted to go the route of, red mages can take a punch to the face well enough.
Yeah, it really is interesting, the difference in the parties. I'm specifically interested in Whitemageisagui's decision on a black belt. Is Huey going to be damned, or are we actually going to see some fists?
Well, it's one of those things, it's an insurance policy thing, I assume, where if you find the good equipment for your fighter early enough on, you can damn the black belt, and you got a fighter and 2 blasters. If you can't find the good equipment, then you have the fighter up front to take hits, and you get that black belt in a position where he can kind of handle most of the problems you're going to run into. But yeah, the interesting part I find with that, though, is the lack of a white mage. That is kind of a gamble here, because white magic spell access for the red mage is a lot more restricted than it is when it comes to black magic. So if you have to dump one of the more focused mages for a red mage, you usually want it to be your black.
Yeah, definitely, but that could also, the black belt insurance policy could be there against if there is no valuable life magic. You may need to power your way through really fast. The best defense is a good offense.
And it looks like both papafoiz and miaut decided to change their parties while we were looking down. papafoiz now rolling with 2 fighters, a black mage and a white mage, while miaut is now doing double white mage, black mage, and fighter. And we're off. And we'll eventually... There we go.
We start off with Cure 4 in a red mage learnable spot, and Ice 2 as our AoE spell with Zap.
Yeah, that is not a bad mix. We also see Fog 2 at level 1, which, while not the best defensive spell, can get you through some spots.
Should be noted that Fog 2 is not learnable by a red mage, but is learnable by the red wizard, so you could come back after the class change if you wanted to.
See, equipment-wise, I think all we see in the weapon shop is a short sword, but you do see some steel armor handy. We have seen a few players opt for steel armor as a measure when they aren't having much luck finding the high-end armor for their knight. At the moment, we got some folks going after imps, trying to get a little bit of experience, a little bit of gold. Make sure that they can properly equip themselves before attacking the Temple of Fiends.
We've got some very cheap cabins and houses.
and very expensive heal potions, relative to how much they usually go for. So it's probably a good thing that that Cure 4 is level 1, because it may come into play a lot more often early on here, until the money starts rolling in. Either way, our top 2 racers are off. For those of you who are unaware, this is a double-header matchup. Papafoiz and miaut are racing one another, while Falconic and Whitemageisaguy are a separate race.
We do find a gold bracelet in the Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, that is very solid for early game. And miaut is going to immediately strap it to his white mage, and it looks like Papafoiz is going to do the same.
Very nice to find that with the 3 mages, as gold bracelets can end up being very, very expensive.
Or very, very cheap. It's one of the two. And out of the Cornerian royal family, we find a canoe and a bottle. So, you know, enough progression to get the seed rolling, but not enough to just blow it wide open.
Yeah, you're always hoping for the floater in the canoe there.
Yeah, we didn't find too much money in Temple of Fiends, but it looks like it's enough for Papa to feel comfortable picking up some extra gear for his fighters. Miaut, meanwhile, looks like he's going to invest his funds in some extra potions for the trip down to Elfland. In our lower race, it looks like Whitemageisaguy is going to be the first one to pick up the goods from the Cornerian royal family, but Falconic should not be too far behind.
Whitemageisaguy deciding to take out the instant death spell and use Zap on Garland rather than going with the conventional Ice Tooth.
Well, with Garland's M defense, you can pretty much hit him with anything and he'll go down in a few tries. Miaut's going to be the first one to show us what's in the Dwarf Cave, and it's just a pile of money, but that is definitely welcome this early on in the seed with prices where they are. Looks like miaut had a thought there of turning back to go stock up more in Corneria, but I think he's just going to try and press on to Elfland. Yeah, either way, our top race is definitely going to be advancing, so we may kind of stick with them for the time being a little bit, while the bottom race sort of covers ground that they've already hit a little bit. That being said, we're getting our first view of what's available down in Elfland, and it does look like we'll be able to at least pick up some extra weaponry for our party to kind of supplement the spellcasting.
Reckon Bane at level 3 for more of your instant death needs.
It's one of those things, I don't generally hate seeing Bane early on. It's, you know, it's useful alongside Zap, but that is a level 3 fade, and I definitely don't hate that.
It is, however, in the 4th slot, which means it will not be learnable by anybody but the White Mage, I believe.
Yeah. Let's see, we have level 4 Soft and Exit. That's going to prove interesting. And really just Ice 3 in the level 4 Black Magic, so, you know, not a seed that's going to be a lot, it's going to have a lot to offer when it comes to, you know, kind of the in-game sweeper spells early on, aside from Fade, but still pretty solid.
With miaut having 2 White Mages, that could prove to be a pretty decent advantage early on.
Yeah, my spell permission logic is a little bit weak, but was that fade in a night learnable spot?
I do not believe so. According to my limited memory, only slots 1 and 3 are available to anybody but or only slots 1 and 3 can be learned by anybody except White.
Yeah, and we have
chat will correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we have chat right now confirming that Fade is White Mage exclusive, so miaut definitely has a strong advantage deciding to bring those 2 White Mages along. That being said, Papa is the first one to go to Crescent Lake and gets a massive run out of the encounter table.
Always comforting to know that's in there somewhere. It doesn't look like it's near the beginning, but when you're going through a dungeon, you know at some point you're going to get a breather.
Yeah. No sign of the vendor item yet in any of the item shops.
Level 6 magic is pretty much a complete bust.
But there is a floater in the Circle of Sages. So unfortunately, we're not going to see these runners get trolled very easily tonight.
Oh, I say it's still way too early to make that kind of sweeping statement.
It does look like we might have missed Invis 2 at level 6. So, that is at least something that's going to help out. You know, you're going to get a few shots of that, and if you don't find the white shirt, that might be enough. So it looks like most of our runners have decided to stick around Elfland and pick up a few spells. Papa, however, has opted to just run for it.
Level 2 nuke.
Ooh, that is still very nice for miaut.
Yeah, miaut definitely have some huge firepower going on right now. Or will once they get to Provoca. When you're taking this route, you always start to get a little excited when you for some of the spells you haven't seen, hoping that they're in Provoke at slot 2.
Well, either way, we have a tail in hand, and still no sign of the vendor item, so it is not going to be along the inner sea at this point, we know that. But, with the airship readily accessible, that's not that big an obstacle. The big obstacle is probably going to be cost.
Very cheap pro rings.
Yeah, and chat pointing out that the presence of A-Rub at level 2 is potentially valuable to the possibility of not finding pro rings very easily. Although, the cheap pro rings do kind of offset that, as you just pointed out.
If you haven't watched this before, you may notice that Falconic's game, it seems a little different. The peeds are currently named EX peeds, and you'll notice it doesn't have the white boxes around everything. Those are a couple of the fun % options available on the randomizer that don't actually affect gameplay, but they are there for fun.
Yeah, and you know, it's nice to have those touches. And yes, to answer the question in chat, we did see Fade at level 3 in Elfland, so both of our non-elemental spells are readily accessible to the players. See, I don't think we saw too much of the Titan's Trove aside from a little extra, you know, cash in the pocket and such. Sarda, meanwhile, does provide us with a slab, so we are going to be able to head straight up to Melman and get that translated. Hopefully none of our runners forget that they have to do that.
papafoiz getting out of the way immediately.
While in life at level 5, that is something I'm okay with seeing.
Temper and Saber.
And Quad X and Fire 3. That is a black magic that I have a hard time making up my mind on. Mostly because I'm a big fan of the Quad X strat, but, you know, it's whatever. Some people favor having more sweeping spells, and I'm fine. I prefer to have the Quad X there as a kind of palate cleanser.
And I kind of feel having Nuke and Fade and Ice 3 already, that Fire 3 might be the one that ends up missing out for me. I like having these spells to add some damage, especially I love having Saber on a red mage.
Yeah. In any case, we found the Opal Bracelet in the Cardia Isles, and that's going to go to papafoiz's other mage. Looks like Whitemageisaguy is opting for some experience gathering at the moment. Probably looking to beef up that party before heading into a dungeon. Based on what he knows, his party is fairly fragile, although we know that he'll be getting access to some useful stuff pretty quickly.
It's also on Whitemageisaguy game. It's an interesting decision as to whether or not you go for how early you go to get the class change, because the Black Belt's magic defense gain goes way down after class change. So the Black Belt is hurt by getting the class change early. Everybody else is helped. So it's an interesting decision as to when you want to make that class change optimally.
Yeah, pretty much. It's definitely a thing where he's going to have to decide fairly early on whether to go with a 3-man party or to level that black belt, considering the situation with the tail being already accessible. Papa, we saw, pretty much immediately went ahead and got that class change. He probably wants those spell charges on his knights, but also just wants to be able to go ahead and throw on good equipment as he finds it.
Yes. Having Cure 4 at level 1 available to the knight is always kind of nice as a backup. Many times you end up soloing Chaos.
Yeah, and that light axe is going to come in handy since we haven't really touched any of the undead heavy dungeons yet. And since we've already found the tail, we can be fairly confident that the ice cave is going to have a necessary item to finish the game. But at the moment, it looks like papafoiz is focusing on tracking down that vendor item. That being said, it looks like I did overlook the Pro Cape in the Titan's Trove. That is a very nice find, especially considering the number of mages most everyone decided to bring along.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that means the vendor item has to be an on-rack.
I believe you're right, because I think we've seen everywhere else that has an item shop now. And so far it looks like everyone who has gotten the slab has remembered that they need to go talk to the good doctor in Melmond. So Papa's also going ahead and cashing in that Oxy Ale, so he'll be in a good position to take his pick of which dungeons to start diving. Although I don't think he's done too much in the way of leveling with those cheap cabins, so it may be a situation where he's just going ahead and getting all of his progression out of the way.
So with those nukes, that tryptolipenia is basically a pop grind.
Yeah, that's very true. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where everyone else opts to take fights as they go along. Since with the experience multiplier where it is for these flags, you're generally, you know, not going to be able to just power grind in one spot without losing a decent amount of time. It is one of the things that's limited how much we've seen black belts use this tournament compared to last tournament so far. That being said, Papa does make it to Lefane and picks up his chime. Everyone else at this point has their airship and has kind of just been traveling around hitting all of the free treasure spots. And potentially cashing in their tail when they can. So it'll be interesting to see where people start opting to dive once everyone's sort of cleared out their free spots. The other thing also that may come into play when trying to figure out where to go is that early exit. I don't think most of our runners have quite hit the point where they have level 4 spell charges, but once those are available, it makes some decisions a little more interesting since you can opt to just exit out instead of having to walk out of a dungeon.
Looks like papafoiz is making his first dungeon entrance in the Castle of Ordeals.
It's not a bad play. Ordeals is generally one of the friendlier dungeons, while still having a lot of value. It has an incentivized chest, and it has an easy exit even if you don't have access to one of the teleportation spells yet. Miaut looks like he's going to be making a similar decision. So, you know, we might also see with that light axe in hand in those early nuke and fade charges, one of them may be contemplating going for the zombie dragon grind, just to pick up a few levels while they can.
Yeah, the zombie dragon is one of the, what seems to be 3 spots that a lot of people end up spending time grinding, which, with that, the Agamas in the volcano and the eye in the ice cave.
Looks like we had a really easy pillar maze today. I did not see a lot of backtracking on papafoiz's part.
Yeah, he just kind of zoomed right through that. Falconic making an early dip into the volcano.
Yeah, going for the armory is not a bad decision either. You know, you're not guaranteed to get any progression out of it, but the sheer number of chests, you're almost certain to, if not get anything else, you're going to get some money. And since we already kind of know where pro rings are and they are not expensive, money's not a bad thing to find. We do have synchronized 2 gold chests, though, which is always entertaining. We see Falconic preparing for the Grey Worm to give him the worst possible. And there's an opal an opal gauntlet for papafoiz. And the loot.
So the treasury proved to be fairly disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. You know, we found a Zeus gauntlet in the armory, we found an opal gauntlet up in the castle, and other than that loot, castle really didn't seem to have too terribly much. Meanwhile, Whitemageisaguy is, you know, a little bit behind because he opted to go ahead and pick up some levels before really setting out. But it is one of those things, he's just about done with his traveling around the world getting bookkeeping done. And we should expect to see him start picking a dungeon soon. papafoiz, meanwhile, confirming that it is going to be an on-rack for our vendor item, having checked the caravan.
Falconic deciding to go for the really out-of-the-way chests in Volcano.
Well, considering how skinny the armory was, that's not a terrible decision in my book. He does find the other opal gauntlet, which probably is going to wind up in some armor shop's storeroom in exchange for gold. Sandworms are unrunnable. That is interesting to note. Shouldn't come into play too much, but it might at least slow down Miaut on his exit. And that is a max price crown.
And that really hurts, because usually you count on the crown chest to get you money for the vendor.
Yeah, that is going to be a problem. We're at least going to have to see a couple of dungeons cleared probably before they have the excess funds to go pick that up.
Unless they find it.
You're kind of breaking up there a little bit, Tilo. But yeah, I'm assuming you're mentioning the high-value chests that can be found in some of these dungeons. And that will come in handy eventually. In any case, we'll wait for Tilo to find his way back from the depths of the internet. Papa looks like he's opting...
now?
Yeah, you're back.
Alright, good.
Yeah. So Papa's opting to go ahead and clear out Waterfall Cave while he's in the on-rack area. Which will, you know, give him a few more levels, probably put him in a good position to start poking Sea Shrine. Miaut finally translates his slab. And Whitemageisaguy opted to go ahead and go collect his chime. So Miaut is continuing this sort of fearful symmetry he's got going on with papafoiz and also heading to the on-rack area, although he is passing on checking the caravan spot. Probably figuring that it's out of the way enough to where if he has to go there, he'd rather only do so once he has to. But he's also going to see the bad news about the crown being max price. Oh. Our tracker, Melee Wizard, confirming that Miaut actually did check the caravan. I just wasn't paying attention. But that's the problem with these double headers sometimes, is it is hard to keep track of what everyone's doing. We do get a vanilla cube out of the robot, and so that pretty much makes Mirage Tower and Sky Castle an option.
It also basically means that the rod is an ice cave.
Yep. We do see a sun sword in the back of the waterfall cave, and a bane sword down in the volcano. So, you know, meme swords and decent weapons all around. That being said, looks like Whitemageisaguy is wrapping things up, getting those cheap pro rings, probably for everyone with the money he's collected by saving Provoca for kind of his last stop on his grand tour. But there's some dragon armor. Yeah, I imagine papafoiz is going to have the hard decision. Well, I mean, it's not going to be a hard decision, but he's going to have an interesting situation with his fighters, since only one of them is going to be able to strap on the dragon armor.
Meanwhile, I think the Agma grind is over, seeing that they just turned Falconic's Black Mage to stone.
Yeah, that is not good news for Whitemageisaguy, since the Agma spot is one of the popular ones if you do intend to grind up that black belt. But I imagine with the spells we've seen so far that he probably is going to wind up favoring a fighter-focused strategy, and mostly have the black belt on hand to get punched in the face.
And I think Falconic was trying to check out the grindability of the Red D, and got stoned by him too.
Yeah, this is not a great dungeon at the moment, it looks like. Question chat, no exit for Papa. I'm not entirely sure that they've gotten enough levels to have that, Yeah, no, never mind, they have plenty of levels. Now, I just don't think he picked up exit when he was in Elfland earlier. It was fairly early on, and I just don't think he's been one of the ones who swung back through to necessarily collect everything.
Yeah, personally I tend to like going back to Elfland to pick up the magic as I'm going and doing all the crown quests, since I'm going to be right there. Unfortunately, in this seat, that seems like it's not a realistic option.
Yeah. And we see Papa burn off a couple of encounters, and I think he's going to head into Sea Shrine. Possibly trying to set up that huge hero run we saw before. And I think we're seeing miaut do the same thing in the Ice Cave.
Meanwhile, Falconic taking on Carrie.
Yeah, and somewhere in the midst of all of this, it looks like we missed a power bonk. Probably out of the red dragon chest, if I had to guess. But Carrie goes down like a sack of wet cement, so...
Well, if that was in the Red Dragon chest, that could really work out nicely for Falconic, because depending on how late you go into the volcano, that's one of those you don't often go out of the way to get.
And with Glance Agamas, that is definitely a chest that one might be tempted to skip. But the Power Bonk being the Power Gauntlet, an item that casts the spell Saber, which is more or less the best buffing spell you're going to see in this game. Looks like Whitemageisaguy is also opting for the volcano, and is going to be cleaning out this treasury, this armory as well.
Meanwhile, papafoiz finds the Aegis Shield in Mermaid area.
Yeah. So we're probably going to see out of papafoiz is one of his fighters is going to be loaded for bear, and the other is probably going to be a little more skinnily armored. On the outside, we're probably about to see our first ice cave chest and find out if there's much value here.
You do have an ice sword.
An ice sword is nice, although I believe he already has a sun sword on his only character that would care.
Yeah,
so,
that ice sword will be a lot nicer for the parties with red mages.
Oh, absolutely. And that sun sword will be nice when they find something better to strap on their knights. Let's see here. So, I'm gonna see if Papa's going to dive the crack inside of Sea Shrine, or if he's going to at least duck out and heal.
We find another pro cape in the ice cave, so that works out really nicely when you have that many mages.
Question, chat. Why is the Whitemageisaguy fight always unrunnable? And chat also answering. It is linked to the pirate fight, and due to the way that encounters are coded, it can't really be unlinked from that fight without making pirates also unrunnable. Or also making pirates possibly runnable. So it's just basically a matter of Final Fantasy I is coded in a very strange way. But we do find a decent amount of money in the Frostwolf room in Ice Cave. So that's going to go a long way toward getting that crown picked up, you know, before the end of the game.
Yeah, with that crown there, we've had a couple of players this tournament already try to go down into the Temple of Fiends Revisited without getting the key. And in vanilla game, you don't really notice it because you have to get the key for progression, but there is a door in the Tower of Fiends Revisited, the one right after you defeat the Phantom.
Good lord, they have fucking crap!
That is actually locked by the Mystic Key.
So anyway,
Don't know what that was.
Yeah, that was peculiar. But regardless, it does look like Papa is going to go ahead and make his dive toward Kraken, while Miaut picks up that rod. And Whitemageisaguy, meanwhile, apparently wants some steak.
Trying Zap on a Tyro, which is an interesting proposition, only because the Tyros have a very high magic defense, which makes the chances of that actually succeeding fairly small.
Speaking of Zap having a small chance to succeed, Papa appears to have found our first ribbon of the match. Which, fortunately for the other runners, is in one of the free chests in Sea Shrine, so everyone's at least going to wind up with one ribbon.
So I missed what exactly happened there on Miaut's screen. I saw an eye fight with a lot of characters dead.
Yeah, but fortunately he did make sure to pick up that exit spell, so he's in a good position to go ahead and dive Volcano.
Chat informing me that I had Blaze. So we've got Stoning Agamas and Eyes with Blaze, kind of limiting the grinding options at this point.
Yeah, this is definitely looking like a take fights in Mirage and Sky kind of matchup right now.
Yeah, and with that kind of firepower, it shouldn't be too difficult to take out a lot of monsters there.
By the way, considering his current arrangement of key items, I wouldn't be surprised if papafoiz goes ahead and makes that move toward the air dungeon once he's done here. He has everything he needs to clear it. He's at a pretty solid level all around. About the only place he's really lacking is the equipment department, but with the ability to just kind of blow things up, he should be fine in that direction too.
However, on that note of equipment, if he decides to go towards Mirage Tower and Sky Palace, it's possible that he'll find enough equipment that he decides to go mode the rest of the dungeons, which will cause him to miss out on both the power bonk and the dragon armor. Which, especially having two fighters, losing out on the dragon armor would be pretty significant.
Very true. It does look like our Kraken today is definitely hitting hard.
Nothing a little Newt can't handle.
Microwave squid. Yeah, it looks like Papa's going to go ahead and pick up that crown and then never have to come back to on-rack. Yeah, not a bad idea.
We have unrunnable Medusas in the Council of Ordeals.
Not sure I actually saw too much of the Medusas on anyone else's screen, but it does look like Papa is going to go ahead and cash in that crown while Falconic's picking up his ribbon.
Now, Whitemageisaguy just went after a chest that you don't see many runners go after, and that's due to another quirk of Final Fantasy that has a few chests in the game that are linked. So there are 2 treasure chests and 1 treasure. So if you get it in one place, you don't get it in the other, and the next room will have the counterpart to that item, if I'm not mistaken. So most runners tend to skip out on that spike tile, the one that started by the spike tile, and go for the other treasure chest.
Yeah, so normally the chest that Whitemageisaguy just opened has the Zeus Gauntlet in it, but as most folks are aware, you can pick up the Zeus Gauntlet on the next floor. So it is, generally speaking, not worth the trouble of dealing with a forced encounter just to grab that chest. And Lord of the Synth pointing out that we have encountered what has come to be known as, well, what is trying to become known as a Sparkover Bridge, which comes to us from the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community. And in the Final Fantasy context, refers to a bridge that doesn't do you any good because you're already past the point where you need the bridge.
In the Dragon Warrior context, it refers to a bridge that has exactly 1 tile of land on the other side of it.
I'm still holding out for the day that a Sparkover Bridge leads to where the armor's hidden, I'm gonna be honest. But in any case, papafoiz is finally picking up the exit spell, and I don't think we saw anything out of the Elfland keylock chests. But I imagine he'll at least be doing the big circuit of the other easily accessed keylock chests, just to, you know, make sure he's got everything he could need.
Definitely, especially with those 2 fighters, gear becomes a much bigger factor, and so so making that whole circuit is, I think, a much better idea.
Falconic, meanwhile, is forced to retreat from Sea Shrine after taking a few more deaths than his life spell capacity could really hold. It looks like he's just going to come back later on.
And Miaut is about to find out about our stone-loving Agamas.
And he is just going to unload fades into it, not taking any chances. We do see a Thor hammer out of the Corneria treasury, at least, so that's going to be helpful in terms of just giving you a little more AoE firepower. So Falconic looks like he's decided to deal with, whatchamacallit, the ice cave, you know, rather than trying to dig down to Kraken again. So other than that, we're kind of just in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment, finding out what are in these chests while everyone else is sort of heading over turf we've seen other runners hit.
Yeah, skipping over the power bump chest.
Yeah, I was about to say, I do think he picked up, the Dragon Armor chest was in Volcano as well, correct?
Yes, it was in one of the Agama chests.
Yeah, so he at least did pick up the Dragon Armor, so, you know, didn't miss out on everything the Volcano has to offer, but did definitely miss out on that.
And a white shirt in Astos' castle. That would be really nice, especially with Invis 2 having at such a high spell level.
Definitely, but, you know, so here's the question. Do you put that on your White Mage, or do you hand it to someone else that they can cast Invis 2 in addition to your White Mage?
I think with only potentially 3 charges of Invis 2 trying to get all the way through Topher, you're still going to need more charges than that, so maybe you put it on someone else for Chaos and for Kraken and do double duty on a couple of the fights, but I think in general you just leave it with the White Mage.
Yeah. It's also one of those things, with only one ribbon found so far, getting any sort of extra defense on the White Mage is always nice. Looks like we have miaut preparing to make a Sea Shrine dive. He might have better luck than Falconic, just because I think he's done a little more taking good fights where he can. Chat, meanwhile, sitting there pulling for someone to locate the Vorpal Sword. And miaut turns around, actually, after heading all the way to Onrak. I guess he just wanted to get the crown and head out.
Yeah, the Sea Shrine is often the most vicious of the orb dungeons, and so a lot of runners like to wait until they're very well geared before taking it on. Though miaut did go get the dragon armor from the volcano, and so that might have helped out some, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, there's an argument to be made for either decision. I personally would have at least poked Sea Shrine a bit more, see if I can go ahead and clear it out and not have to worry about rowing up to Onrak again, but miaut's also much better at the game than I am, so there's a good chance that, you know, he knows what he's doing. Well, we have both runners in a Frost Dragon fight, although one's going to be fighting another set while the other's done. It looks like Whitemageisaguy has made up his decision about how he's going to handle his party from here, going ahead and getting that class change. So, you know, to you black belt fans in the audience, I hope that watching a master face down the dirt a lot is not terribly offensive to your sensibilities, because it's probably going to happen. In any event, Miaut has his key now, so he's going to be collecting his white shirt here in a sec. Yeah, other than that, yeah, we're again kind of in this position where all the runners are kind of retracing each other's paths, and no one's really branching out into uncharted territory quite yet. Although Falconic's about to get an eye load of Blaze, unless he just manages to blow this eye away.
Unfortunately, when you do that, you often... First battle goes easy, so you often decide, oh, let's try another one.
And right on cue, we have Falconic doing exactly that. And getting the nuke kill. Question from chat, has miaut flipped a table yet? As far as we are aware, no. And Falconic gets out of the ice rod, out of the ice cave without really seeing what the eye can do, it looks like. Which...
Yeah, papafoiz has the same look.
Yep. I mean, the issue here is that you're going to run into eyes later on. Yeah, chat's pointing out that Falconic did make sure to pick up a fear anyway, so the eye might not have necessarily been as big an issue. The reason for that being to keep the teleportation spell exit off of his first slot, aka the exit boss, aka the most miserable thing that you can do to yourself because of poor planning. papafoiz, in the meantime, it looks like has decided that the volcano is going to be his next stop. Well, miaut did at least stick his head into the level 8 magic shop. I didn't catch it, but chat did. It looks like we do have both Fast and Life 2 sitting at level 8, which is a bit unfortunate. In these flags, with the experience gain you're getting and the speed at which you're looking to clear the game, and the levels especially, you're probably not going to be able to make use of those level 8 spells. Looks like Papa didn't see anything in the armory that he wanted, so he's going to reset out, get his long walk, and go check the other side of armory, it looks like. Ah, no, just that one chest. So he's going to go ahead and dig deeper and probably make it a good way into Volcano before he even sees any fights.
One of the nice things going through Volcano is that the fire tiles do not... you cannot encounter enemies on them, and they do not advance your step counter, so you continue to not be more likely to run into enemies as you go.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, if you can find that hero run in your encounter table, you can get deep into Volcano before you even have to worry about any of the fights. Which is nice, because if I'm not mistaken, you don't generally run into Argols on the lower floors, and since they tend to be the problem children of the volcano, it's convenient. Miaut, however, is going to give us our first look in Mirage Tower, and probably go ahead and take us all the way to Sky Castle. So what do you think, Tila? You think papafoiz is going to check that red dragon chest?
That's hard to say. I don't think so, because he didn't go for the 2 out-of-the-way chests on the floor that he's on right now. And so that makes it seem unlikely that he'll go for the out-of-the-way chest on the next floor. But, let's see.
Yeah, if I've learned anything, it's that the runners will eventually make liars of us all.
More importantly, how excited is he to be stoned?
Well, he's got that ribbon. If I'm not mistaken, the Aegis Shield, doesn't that also offer protection from glance?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. He actually has a little less to fear from the Agamas compared to some of the other runners. Because I don't think almost anyone else hit water, but I don't think anyone else hit Sea Shrine before they dove Volcano. And it does look like he's going to check that chest. And, did we see a ribbon on Miaut's screen?
Chat seems to think so.
Yeah, that's right. He hasn't been to Sea Shrine yet, so the ribbon that's showing up on the tracker would have to have been one he just picked up. So, that's another ribbon that's likely to be in the party's path for other runners. You'd have to basically decide to... Ah, and there's that opal armor that papafoiz is probably going to be looking for.
And even with the ribbon and Aegis Shield, papafoiz still manages to get one of his party members stoned and decides to get away from the Agamas.
A sensible decision. Now, where that glance is going to come into play, though, is when we hit the fire floor in Temple of Fiends Revisited. Because you can run into groups of 4 Agamas down there.
And papafoiz wins quick work of carry.
Yeah, unsurprising with what we've seen so far. So, I imagine he is going to probably head to the Mirage Tower net. Well, never mind. That is an interesting decision. Considering I doubt that he really feels like he's in go mode yet. The Earth Cave is a lot more satisfying to just kind of run through than, you know, the treasure chest bonanza that is the Mirage Tower and Sky Castle.
But he does find the defense sword.
At the same time that Miaut finds the adamant, so... That is an interesting situation. Because, yeah, defense is definitely preferable to a lot of the weaker swords, but it's still not one you're necessarily going to be wanting to take to the end game.
Meanwhile, Whitemageisaguy discovers the Eyes of Blaze.
So it looks like Miaut is planning to dig out at least most of the chests in Sky.
Well, not many grinding options before now. It's a fairly sensible option, because even though the chests are spread out some, you do get to grind the entire time while doing it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And that may be part of the reason that papafoiz is going ahead and digging out Earth is, you know, he's probably thinking that he's going to do something similar once he hits Sky, and, you know, if he lucks into finding something like the Masamune or the Adamant here in Earth, then, you know, that sets him up well to just blast through Sky, where, you know, he might expect his opponent won't.
Now, at this point, what are you looking for in order to just say, forget it, I'm not going to bother checking anything but the freest of chests, let's go?
If I'm papafoiz, I'm hoping to find maybe a Vorpal or an Adamant. I've got the Power Bonk, I just need something that'll hit hard enough to where I could just Power Bonk my way to victory. If I'm miaut, well, the Adamant's good, I don't have that Power Bonk, and I really don't have a lot in the way of buffing aside from that Temper spell. Which I do believe we found relatively low level. So, it's one of those things, you know, miaut may keep looking for the Power Bonk, just because with 2 white mages, his ability to kind of buff his fighter is extremely limited. But yeah, in Papa's shoes, I'm basically looking for, you know, I don't know, I might even take the Defense Sword, or even the Sun Sword, with that Power Bonk in hand. But it's still definitely a situation where I would prefer something a little bit more damaging for the endgame run. And chat pointing out in the meantime that it turns out that the vampire had a bit of a yachting fascination. Which is interesting because he should not be able to cross moving water.
Not to mention, I don't know how much you'd want to stay out in the sun if you're a vampire.
Well, you know, there is such a thing as night yachting. You can see the stars fantastically out in the open ocean.
Fair enough.
In any case, though, papafoiz is going to give us our first look at what Lich has on tap. I mean, besides humiliating defeat. Yeah. Whitemageisaguy, though, is making progress in his first orb dungeon. And, you know, it's one of those things, he's kind of taken a slower and steadier route than Falconic. Taking time to kind of, you know, get all of his ducks in a row, hit a lot of the non-orb dungeons on his way down. And I think that, you know, that may wind up coming into play here, just because, you know, Falconic's going to have to go back and do a little bit of bookkeeping on the way. You know, he still has to go to ordeals, he still has to go cash in that chime. So, you know, it's one of those things. Falconic is currently leading in terms of orbs, but Whitemageisaguy is not in a bad position. Fuzzy Mage in chat. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Definitely, Falconic may have the lead in orbs, but Whitemageisaguy is getting close to carry, and Lich is not a particularly challenging boss, so neither one of them really has much into the water or wind orbs, and those are kind of the bigger separators.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, so papafoiz is going to go ahead and get pro rings for everyone, which is not a bad decision. He has not moved his Power Bonk onto either of his knights yet, which may just be because he doesn't feel like he needs it on them yet, and so doesn't want to worry about shuffling equipment around until he has to. We've got Miaut heading into the teleporter maze. One of the other things these flags shuffle is the location. Never mind, there's a war mech that Miaut disappoints everyone by running away from. But speaking of running away, it looks like we have unrunnable heirs this seed. I can't say I blame him too much. Even with the level 3 fades, having 2 white mages definitely is not a, offense-heavy party. So, it's definitely not something he's going to want to deal with. Meanwhile, papafoiz is trying to bleed off enough encounters to get to the Mirage Tower without any issues. And is that a second war mech on the outside? I think that's a second war mech.
That is a second war mech. Wow.
Those white mages
on the first.
Yeah, that war mech has Swirl, which actually is very good intel for Miaut there. Because war mech, his abilities are shuffled with the abilities available to the final set of bosses in Temple of Fiends Revisited. So, Miaut is now fully aware that none of those bosses are going to be able to swirl him. So it looks like the encounter table on the Bridge of Destiny is not very large. Whitemageisaguy, though, also picking up that power bonk. So, looks like Miaut's going to be our only runner who did not grab the Glove of Might off of the Red Dragon chest.
Miaut having to go deep into his arsenal right now to get through these airs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how our other runners deal with it when they get there. Most of them will at least have the advantage of a little more offense outside of Fade. Will Cleosis in chat making a good point that that Miaut running around and checking chests may have played a factor in him encountering 2 war mechs. papafoiz is moving a lot faster through here. Very fast through here. He is not even stopping for the greed chests.
Now, did he find the adamant, or did he not even bother searching?
He once he found that second ribbon, he didn't even bother checking the other chests in Mirage Tower. That's what it's looking like, addressing the question in chat about whether or not this is go mode for papafoiz. And yes, the bonk was in the Red Dragon chest. As far as I can recall, Miaut's the only player who did not stick his nose into there. He saw the Glancagamas and decided he was quite satisfied with the situation. So yeah, papafoiz is going to miss out on that adamant, but he has Power Bonk, 2 ribbons, and a defense sword, so he probably feels pretty comfortable. So let's see if his Bridge of Destiny has the double War Mech special waiting for him.
No, he manages to get a hero run across the Bridge of Destiny.
That's gonna be fun to bring up after the race is done for these 2. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to see War Mech, all you have to do is the exact opposite of what your opponent does.
And Miaut takes up Tiamat with the Poison Smoke.
Very nice. And papafoiz should not be too far behind. Falconic going ahead and checking some chests here in Sky Castle, so we may wind up seeing that War Mech encounter on his side.
This Tiamat is proving to be fairly beefy.
Whitemageisaguy, meanwhile, feels like getting some steak and wings. Yeah, this Tiamat is not playing around at the moment. And it looks like we have another chance for Falconic to discover never mind. But papafoiz gets through Tiamat and is going to light his last orb. So he will most likely be our first runner to venture into... Thank you, Falconic.
I guess miaut missed that one when he was going up there.
Yeah, I don't think he went to the left side on this floor, so...
I know he certainly doesn't have the Vorpal in his inventory, at least as far as I could tell just a moment ago.
Well, our tracker can let us know if we just did not see him pick up the Vorpal, but I feel like chat would have said something if everyone's favorite sword, except for the people who it's not, had shown up. It looks like the Vorpal sword is good enough for Falconic to just go ahead and start a rolling. Although he finally found out about Blaze. The nice thing about this tournament season is it's revealed that there is a deeper rift in this community than Team Steak or Team Tyro. And it turns out that answer is Team Vorpal.
Where do you fall? What sword do you fall on the team of?
I personally am a fan of whatever I have. Really though, I am always happy to find the Sun Sword, but that's because I always run with the Red Mage in my party, and it feels weird to put the Masamune on the Red Mage when I have a fighter right there. So at least with the Sun Sword, I can feel satisfied in my Red Mage's equipment. But all joking aside, it does look like Falconic basically decided that that Vorpal sword was good enough.
Well, with the Power Bonk and the Vorpal, you can, I mean, it's really all you need. It takes a little while to buff up the, it can take a while to buff up the Vorpal to be able to do a decent amount of damage, but when it does damage, it will do a critical hit, which will turn out to be very nice.
Yeah. Whitemageisaguy does grab his ribbon out of the first floor of Mirage, and I did not see what happened to papafoiz. But it looks like something in TOFR had something kind of rude. Ah, okay. So, chat is explaining that papafoiz realized that he did not actually, like, get his spell charges back before diving in, which, you know, something you kind of want. So, he is back down there, now actually armed with magic. And Drumbordus is absolutely correct, pointing out that TFR could very easily equalize the match on top. miaut is at a 2-orb disadvantage, but has very little need to check any more chests. So it is entirely possible that any sort of a setback for papafoiz past, say, the Earth floor could make this a very close match on the top.
Sure enough, Falconic went for all those extra chests and just ran into a war mech on the bridge, also opting to run.
Unfortunately, he can't run from these airs, although he only has to deal with 2 of them. No, Demarine. No matter how big Chaos's arms are, what he's doing is not hugging. There is no love in Chaos. Especially Death Touch Chaos, which is what the chat is currently contemplating. That being said, Miaut very quickly handles Kraken as Falconic sets into Nuke and Bane Sword strats against Tiamat. Yeah, now speaking of matches that could still go either way, Whitemageisaguy is, you know, most of the air dungeon and the entirety of Earth Cave behind Falconic. But if he checks the right chests here in the Sky Castle, he can very easily go mode dungeons that Falconic did a little bit of digging in. So he is also not completely out of this, especially if Falconic runs into any sort of trouble in Temple of Fiends.
Lich not appearing to give papafoiz any trouble in the Temple of Fiends Revisited, though.
Yeah, but we are on. We could very well run into the. Never mind. We're not even going to run into that Agama group here on this floor. But speaking of just sprinting through dungeons, Miaut is not even going to check any of the chests here in Earth Cave, it looks like. Whitemageisaguy making the interesting choice to take the river all the way instead of hopping into the river after crossing some of the swamp tiles. But Carrie definitely just dropped papafoiz's Black Mage. But he's got life charges, who cares?
The lack of weaponry by the knights for papafoiz is really starting to make itself apparent.
I'm hoping that he has moved that power bonk onto someone who can take advantage of it, because he's getting to the point where he's gonna need it. Miaut does check his greed chest and does discover that he will be able to take an all-expenses-paid cruise around the world.
Unrunnable waters.
Yeah, that is the interesting thing about the encounter type shuffle that we've been seeing here in the Swiss round. I'm not sure that is an encounter that we saw in the Sea Shrine.
I don't believe it is, but I just know personal experience, waters tend to always have the worst stuff. I know they caused me 4 wipes on Topher just last night, and I think I've seen them with Nuke more than any other monster. So no one's scared when they're unrunnable.
So papafoiz does remember to move his power bonk, and it looks like he is going to use one of his fighters as a tank, while the other fighter basically gears up to assault Kraken. The loot is in the Castle of Ordeals, which Falconic has not been to yet this... Oh yeah, he's already checked these chests. So miaut is in his Lich fight. He's about to finish that up. Kraken 2 so far has not horribly manhandled papafoiz's party.
Yeah, it took a little while to do some real attack and papafoiz was able to get up with quite a few buffs before Kraken took a swing.
Now, it's one of those things, any Kraken fight your Black Mage walks away from is a Kraken 2 fight that you can be happy with. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like Kraken just does not have a lot in the way of guaranteed damage. So, he is going to go down pretty handily. And is immediately followed by Unrunnable Waters.
It didn't seem too bad last time. Let's see if they're hiding anything.
Yeah, with 4 waters, if they are hiding anything, it's not going to matter because you just Ice 3'd and took out almost all of them. Miaut going ahead and getting life 2, just in case he winds up getting one of those charges, I guess. Which is not a bad proposition. If it turns out the bottom of TOFR is horrifying, you may need that level. And chat pointed out he also went ahead and grabbed fast before I looked up at his screen.
Now we get our Tiamat 2 sighting.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things, picking up these extra bits of kit may come in handy if it turns out Tiamat 2 and Kraken have something horrible that requires a lot more development, but with the stuff that papafoiz has, it may not want sorry, that nuke wiped out my ability to talk there for a minute.
Yeah, that's a pretty fast nuke.
But with all those spare Cure 4s, papafoiz is easily able to recover from it.
Falconic, meanwhile, taking out Kraken 2 and is now on his way to the Temple of Future Visited.
So as a reminder, this is a double-header. Falconic only needs to worry about beating Whitemageisaguy, and papafoiz and miaut only have to worry about one another. And it does look like Falconic did remember he has not been to Ordeals yet. And it looks like Tiamat 2 was the one who got the Cure 4 this time. And is advancing through her spell list very quickly. So, it is entirely possible we might see that nuke again, unless Papa is able to take things out quickly.
The good news
like
is that that's also a Cure 4 and a nuke that Chaos cannot have.
Yeah, but we may still see the rare triple nuclear Chaos. Just in case this is the rare triple nuclear Chaos, I do apologize to everyone that I just jinxed. And Chaos immediately splatters the Black Mage.
If you're papafoiz, though, that is exactly who you'd want to go out first.
Yeah, I'm apt to agree with that. Power Bonk in tow, he does not really need the Black Mage for anything except eating a hit before the defenses go up. Yeah, Papa is going to spend these first few rounds with Chaos just kind of making preparations.
Chaos apparently enjoying the melee attacks, which is really working to papafoiz's advantage.
Yeah, he's got a few stacks of Invis 2 thanks to that white shirt now. Yeah, this looks like this shouldn't be too bad of a fight. Chaos took almost 300 damage from 4 hits. But only 170 that time. But 450 with a crit, so... Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, there we go. Chaos is down for papafoiz.
Papafoiz finishing with an official SRL race time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 2 seconds.
Yeah, not bad at all.
That's an amazing time.
So, that miaut is going to start his Temple of Fiends Revisited Descent. And Falconic is continuing to stock up in preparation for his dive. Which is going to give Whitemageisaguy, you know, a little more time to start getting ready to go. Unfortunately, we didn't really see too terribly much in Temple of Fiends to worry about, especially with the way that Falconic has been working with the encounter table. So, we'll see how this shakes out, but it is looking like it's Falconic's match to lose on the bottom.
That Tiamat with Nuke, though, can cause all sorts of problems.
This is very true. I haven't been paying too close attention to what kind of levels Falconic is sitting on compared to where papafoiz was. But yeah, so miaut's going to be digging here for a little bit, making his way through the TOFR. And Falconic is about to start his descent, so... Yeah, and he is going to be bleeding off those encounters the same way papafoiz at least... Well, wait! He is going to go check these keylock chests, which I don't think anyone actually looked at. And it was not worth his time.
Down goes Kraken for Whitemageisaguy,
giving him his second orb.
miaut also with the hero run through the fire floor, not having to see any of the Agamos with glance. But finding Inferno from Carrie.
Well, that's no good. Those two white mages, though, are actually coming into play, since one of his white mages went down, but not the other.
And the Excalibur proving much more effective than the weapons that papafoiz went down with.
But yeah, miaut is definitely in what some members of our community lovingly call a Hydra party situation. As long as a couple of members make it through, he can pretty much recover from anything the dungeon can throw at him. And outside that nuke, I don't think we really saw anything nasty, and miaut should generally be able to take things down at about the same rate that papafoiz did.
Now, it's important to remember that Miaut also does not have the Power Gauntlet.
And that is an excellent point, but speaking of the Power Gauntlet, papafoiz is in the waiting room, so let me pull him in. Hey, Papa! GG!
GG.
Thank you, sir.
So, how about that having to dive with just the defense sword?
What do you mean? I have the sun sword, too.
Fair enough, fair enough. More importantly, how about that hero run on the Bridge of Destiny? Oh, no, wait, were you the one that encountered 2 war mechs?
No, I had the hero run.
Yeah. Your opponent, on the other hand, ran into 2 war mechs.
Thank you, blessed RNGesus. Thank you.
As far as we can tell, the difference was he stopped to check a lot more of the chests in the Sky Castle, where you found that second ribbon and you just went for it.
Yeah, I kind of went out of my way to check other chests I normally don't, and I found the defense sword and the dragon armor and the Aegis shield, and once I found the second ribbon, I just said, alright, time to go, let's just finish this up.
Yeah, miaut did actually find the adamant digging through Sky Castle. And skipped over the defense sword chest and the power bonk chest. So, it's going to be interesting to see how his TOFR is going to differ from yours. He just got through Kraken 2 if you don't have the stream pulled up.
God, I'd probably still be on Kraken 2 if I didn't have the power bomb, because the defense sword does no damage. And everybody had pretty high absorb.
And your Black Wizard did not have the best day of his life.
That's right, he was dabbing on the ground under that hat.
Pretty much. So, were you expecting to be able to just kind of mosey on through the fire floor without much trouble, based on what you knew about the encounter table, or were you kind of holding your breath for possibly running into that 4 Agama group?
It's... I don't know, like, if you saw the first time I went through TOFR, I got 2 double gas dragon encounters, and then I realized I didn't house before I went in, so I had to reset out. And the second time I fixed the encounter table so that I wouldn't get those 2. God, that hero run, the 3rd encounter, was freaking unbelievable. It was beautiful, but I was definitely very scared that I was going to get hit hard, because there's one section where you got like 5 or 6 encounters within 15 to 20 steps, and if that was on the water floor, unrunnable waters, or even on the air floor, the airs were unrunnable, it was going to be rough.
Yeah, but it looks like y'all managed to dodge that bullet. So far, the 3 runners who've made it to TOFR have all avoided any trouble on the fire floor. And yeah, chat pointing out miaut just hit the Cure 4 in Tiamat 2's rotation.
Were the... I didn't... no, I did see, like, were the Agamas, like, really bad?
The Agamas were rocking glance.
Yuck. What about those beautiful toxic bones in Temple of Fiends? That was fun. I was like, crap.
Well, you know, you want to see stuff like that early on sometimes, because it's not going to be your problem after a certain point, especially since you don't have to worry about marsh cave in these seeds usually.
No, miaut, don't die, please, baby.
Oh, with 50 HP getting past that nuke. But then immediately getting slowed.
I was gonna try to do Shailisha proud and sleep chaos, but he killed my black mage really fast.
Oh, and that Cure 4, just that spiteful Cure 4 out of Tiamat 2, and miaut's going to go down.
And miaut has forfeited from the race.
Oh.
You hate to see that. But yeah, without that power gauntlet, though, that was going to be a difficult situation to overcome, just because, you know, those two white mages can only do so much.
We had the unfortunate situation where the only life spell also fell in the Invis 2 spot. I don't know if he found the white shirt, I did. But...
Well, we could just go ahead and ask him. GG, Miaut.
Hey, GG.
So, do you want to guess what was in the red dragon chest?
Probably a ribbon or a Mosmew?
The power gauntlet.
I should have checked that. Well, I don't think it mattered, because I didn't know what to do a lot of the times. For example, when I got to Elfland, I quickly switched to my old mindset that I had to go to Marshcape, and I was grinding there when I didn't need to. When I was in Volcano, I switched on to the old mindset of I have to open up the chests and look for the quest items when I knew that the crown was in on-rack. and I guess there were a lot of times when I just, you know, reverted back to the old randomizer version strats when I didn't need to. So even if I did get the power gauntlet, I don't think it would have changed a lot.
I have to ask, you saw Warmech once. What went through your mind when you saw Warmech a second time?
I hope it doesn't cast Nuke. That's probably the biggest priority.
Yeah, it did have Swirl, though, which is better? Question mark.
No, Swirl is fine. I had a ribbon on my White Mage. As long as that White Mage didn't die, I was good.
Yeah, the double White Mage strat was definitely something I wasn't expecting to see. What kind of led you to go that way?
I was gonna go Thief, but I was thinking that if I can get good double White Mage spells, I can probably skip a lot of the stuff as long as I got like a Mosmew early, or you know, something, or you know, with just a Sun Sword with Fast and Temper. But Fast was level 8. I didn't find a power gauntlet, and yeah. I mean, I thought I was going pretty fast, but I guess all those I guess the routing mistakes was the thing that got me in the end. I don't know how did it look like from your end?
You and papafoiz actually were basically in lockstep for a good part of this seed. I think, trying to think of where y'all actually kind of split up. I think you went Volcano when he went Sea Shrine. And then kind of crisscrossed each other's paths the rest of the seed until, y'all both got to TFR, I'd say, what, Tilo, maybe 5-10 minutes apart?
Yeah, it wasn't that far away. I will note, just as a side note, Tiamat not only had nuke, but also nuclear.
Oh, I see. RIP.
Yeah, no, actually, Falconic survived that one.
He is down his White Mage, though.
And another nuclear.
Boy, I'm really glad I didn't see all this garbage. I think, on all honesty, the real MVP of that seed, save the power bunk, was the Invis spell in level 1, because, like I said before, the Invis 2 spell shared a spot with your life spell, and I don't think the Red Mage could learn life. I think it wasn't in an unlearnable spot, but if you didn't find the white shirt, you had no Invis 2 charges, so the Invis 1 spell, I think, was the hero, because he definitely tried to hit my Defense Sword fighter a few times, and I had already gotten 2 casts of Rusup, essentially, which saved me.
Yeah, so Falconic is going to be going after this Chaos with just a Knight, but with the array of gear he picked up, he should be able to kind of weather what this chaos has to offer.
Definitely, with what we saw from Chaos against papafoiz, seems to like the melee effect, and so if we can get a couple of defense swords off early on before getting hit, that can work out really nicely.
Yeah, we had some folks in chat silently rooting for the Death Touch Chaos. As you do.
That'd have been terrible. I had Death Touch Kraken in a practice seed the other day. It was really fun. Top tier.
But yeah, so I'm trying to think of other things that we saw during this seed that kind of crossed our minds somewhat. Tilo, help me out here.
What was your thoughts with grinding? We were noticing that all the good grind spots had a lot of nasty things. You had the Agamas with Glance, then you had the Eyes with Blaze, and I will pause for a moment to say GG to Falconic, who has finished with an official...
I'm going to go ahead and finish that thought. It looks like an official SRL time of 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 20 seconds.
I had Blaze. I never saw that.
I saw the Alchemist with Glance. I took Blaze. I wasn't worried about the grinding because I had a lot of spots like the Gersharks or the Blue Dragon, but they had a lot of HP. But it was 100% increased stat, so I was right. The Fiends weren't that difficult except for Tiamat having Cure 4. But other than that, it wasn't like a seed that you needed to grind a lot. So I just kept going. I grinded a little bit on the way to Tiamat and a little bit on TOFR, and that was enough.
Yeah, I had contemplated grinding before I started TOFR because I was only level 18. But I was just like, you know what? I felt really far ahead at that time, so I was like, you know what, let's just go and see what this has to offer. If push comes to shove, it's going to turn into like the Trystal match where I'm going to be grossly underleveled and just need to spend 5 or 10 minutes grinding and getting higher level, because I knew the double fighter with the power bonk and the defense sword would be enough in the end.
Well, regardless, Whitemageisaguy has decided to be the hero that we need, but not the one we deserve, and is fighting the War Mech.
That guy should take the win for that.
Well,
so far, the only runner who has encountered War Mech and decide to actually take the fight, and loses everyone but his fighter and Black Mage, but gets rewarded for it with a few levels.
Yeah, 16,000 experience is always nice.
Especially when you split it 2 ways.
papafoiz, I don't remember if we asked you this already, but what was your thoughts behind your party composition?
it's the best. Double fighter. Can't 75% win rate in the tournament. I'm still shocked nobody's picking it up.
And I believe that is the sound of a Falconic sticking his head in here. Hey, Falconic. GG.
Thank you.
So, now that you're here, I just want to point out that so far we've had 3 runners head into TOFR with 3 different main swords equipped on their fighter.
Well, I had the best one, so who had Mazza and who had Excalibur?
Miaut went in with Excalibur, and papafoiz actually finished the game with Defense.
Oh, nice. I don't prefer to have the defense as the attacking weapon, but it's nice to have for utility. Save my my rear end on that Chaos fight, I think.
Yeah, what was your thoughts about that Tiamat fight there?
It was interesting. It's nice seeing all of those abilities on one single target, but then throwing in that Cure 4 just meant, guess what? If you don't do this quick, you're going to be seeing them again. So nerve-wracking for sure.
Yeah, on the bright side, thanks to you, we found out that Tiamat had all of that nuclear power rolling around.
Oh, did Papa not get nuked or nucleared or whatever?
We
Yeah, I don't
saw
think...
the nuke. We didn't see the 2 nuclears.
All right, well, GG, Papa. Took the easy road, I guess.
It's because I had the power bonk.
Oh, I had that as well. I debated. I think you guys might have caught it. I stopped for a second on Carrie's floor just to think, is it worth it? Because that Agama had a lot of health, and I couldn't remember if they were runnable. And I just decided there's too many practice runs I've had where something decent's been in that chest, and it turned out to be the power bomb. Again, 2 items that saved me on Chaos for the defense sword and the power bomb. Oh, and the best sword in the game.
Yeah, chat did enjoy your little flashing meme there. Taking a page from Split Punch's book, I see.
Oh, absolutely. The meme games are not as strong with me, but they're getting stronger. I'm working on them. Papa, did you run into in Waterfall? I think it was Peerless that had crack.
Nope.
Cool. I did. And then I knocked my drink over and I think scared my dogs and probably woke up the neighbors.
I think we heard that on stream.
Wait, what?
There was a slight muffled sound of somebody complaining about crack.
Huh. I have push-to-talk for OBS. That's weird. Yeah, that would be me, knocking stuff over and screaming and yelling.
Yeah, so, okay, that mystery is solved.
Yeah, I went into TOFR having no idea where any of the bad stuff is because I didn't see anything like grotesquely terrible through the run, and I almost grinded before I started because if these endgame enemies are packing thunder and blaze and all this fun stuff, like I was definitely gonna have trouble, but thankfully encounter table OP.
Yeah, that almost was a downside here. It was so easy to get 2 fights out of the way and have like a 35-step hero walk. It made me not level early.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to point out, since you're unaware, Papa just completely dodged the War Mechs. He go-moded most of Sky Castle and just hit the right spot in the encounter table to just run right down the Bridge of Destiny without encountering anything.
At least Warmechs were runnable, so it wasn't the end of the world. I thought about fighting him for a split second, but after my dive into Waterfall and then losing 2 guys, I didn't want to have to rerun another dungeon. I already had to do Waterfall twice, and I had to do Water twice.
Yeah, I do regret to inform you that you did not technically win this match because your opponent did opt to fight Warmech.
Oh, alright, 1-1. Tristal, here I come.
That's true, he did. Whitemageisaguy did kill the ultimate boss in this game.
Was it a hard fight? I'm guessing he didn't have nuclear, because Tiamat had both of those.
No, he did.
Hit like a truck, though.
Yeah, the big issue there was that he just, dealt out a lot of damage to a party that does not have a lot in the way of absorb.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Pablo, but I went into Topher way under the level that I'm usually comfortable with, and I only had 2 ribbons, so that wall spell pickup at the end was... I thought it was going to come into play more. I don't think it actually did, but it didn't matter because people died, so I was able to shuffle those ribbons around.
I think I was 17, 18 when I went in. I contemplated grinding. I was like, I think I should grind. And then I was like, nah, I think I can go through and see what they have. And then it ended up being super easy. Yeah,
everything seemed easy. Kraken had a little bit more health than I would have cared for, but otherwise. Tiamat was really the main boss here.
But yeah, this was overall from watching, it looked like this was kind of a fairly pleasant seed to go through, aside from a few nasty surprises in places you don't usually get nasty surprises.
Yeah, it was a jet seed for sure. I made a lot of just movement mistakes, going in and out of towns, forgetting which direction I entered, so I would end up entering them again. Just a lot of silly, simple mistakes that new runners are gonna make, but gives you something to work on, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, while we've been talking, Whitemageisaguy has lit his third orb and is well on his way to finishing up with the Earth Orb, and then we'll probably not have too rough a time in TOFR in spite of his lack of white magic, just because he is going to have a few higher level characters just from that Warmech fight.
Alright, everyone, I'm gonna head out. GG's, Papa. Good luck on your next round, and I hope we can match up again. And I'll try a different strat.
GG, sir. You need a roo-roo before you leave. You got a roo-roo for us.
Yeah,
right,
good luck in with your next round, miaut.
Thanks.
Were there any other surprises that I avoided that other people got to see?
Well, miaut did get 2 Warmech fights on the Bridge of Destiny.
And he fought him or ran?
Oh, he ran like the Dickens.
Attaboy. Any Tyro killers that I can disown?
I think I only saw Tyro one time, but it was the second encounter in the Walk of Destiny, so I just reset through it.
Yeah, I think your opponent sought out a few Tyro fights before heading into the, Mirage Tower.
I'm going to have to go back and watch the VOD. I'm 93.7% positive that when I was setting up for Hero Run to Ordeals, I think I ran into a T-Rex for the first time in like 10 years. But I reset out of it so quickly that I wasn't quite sure.
No, I mean, it's just as well. That would have been a death-touched T-Rex.
Possibly. Now that I will take out. That experience on them is too good.
Well, take that as you will, any members of the dev team who are watching. You can just put extra XP on a T-Rex or on a Tyro, and betrayals will happen.
Oh, I consider T-Rexes the evil versions of Tyros.
Well, there you go.
Whitemageisaguy has lit his 4th orb and is now heading towards the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, so, kind of while we have this breather, we probably... I don't know if we're going to get a chance to see the end of this run, since since match 2 of the semifinals in the Zelda 2 Randomizer Max Rando tournament is set to start here in a little over half an hour, but considering how easy this Temple of Fiends Revisited is and how leveled Whitemageisaguy is, we may actually get a chance to see this one finish out.
What are his levels?
I know that his Fighter and Black Mage are sitting around level 23. And considering most of y'all dove sub 20, this is probably... He's probably going to be in good shape. He did pick up most of the same good gear that everyone else did.
Did anyone find the Mazmoot?
Nope.
Oh, okay, so Marsh Cave. Yeah.
Probably.
I think it's the one place I didn't check. There were a few chests I skipped along the way in like Sky Castle, and I think Earth I skipped a room or two, but I'll never go Marsh if I don't have to.
Yeah, I think between the 4 of you, Marsh is the only place that you didn't check. I'm pretty sure every treasure chest in the rest of the dungeons was actually checked.
No,
Yeah,
you can't tell me somebody checked all those chests in the Sea Shrine. That's crazy.
papafoiz checked. Went to Mermaid and checked all the chests on the in the Sharknado room as well.
You pulled a 123 with a mermaid check? GG, sir.
I had, at that point in the game, I had no weapon and no armor and only one ribbon.
Yeah, I can't even remember what you dug out of there. Like, I think you found one thing of note.
No, there was nothing in the Sea Shrine out of all the chests I checked. I was like, well, this was a flop.
How many ribbons did you find?
Just the two. The one in, well, actually, I think one of the Sea Shrine chests that everybody would have checked was one, and I forget where the second one was.
First floor Mirage.
That's right. That's when I hit go mode. I was like, all right, time to go. I checked more chests than I usually do in the Volcano as well, because I was just looking for stuff because I had nothing. I was going to buy steel armor. I had made a note of where it was in the shops. I think the best part about today is that I didn't join the Trystal Fight Club.
Yeah, at least not yet. So.
For those of you who are still here with us and are unaware, League co-champion Trystal MTG managed to lose his race last night, or the other night, I guess, to Wilcleosis in what was an amazing performance on Wilcleosis' part, and a pretty good performance on Trystal's part in spite of a few difficulties. And so the 1-1 bracket in the next round of the Swiss matches we have going on has become lovingly referred to as the Trystal Fight Club, because someone's going to have to deal with him, and he's probably going to be angry.
Yeah, you think that's one of the nice things. If you lose, well, at least I don't have to take on the Titans, and then, oh no, now I get to worry about facing Trystal next week too.
Pretty much. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. With our reveal show on Wednesday is who's going to get that matchup. And that should be over here on Randomania. I believe all of our bonus streaming material is going to be here. But speaking of stuff being on Randomania, while Whitemageisaguy kind of continues his descent into Temple of Fiends Revisited, we have starting up over on Randomania 2 right now the Zelda 1 Randomizer semifinals for their Battle Royale Maelstrom Monday mini-tournament. So that should be a fun thing to flip over to if you have had your fill of Final Fantasy 1. If you have not had your fill of Final Fantasy 1, then you can always hop over to Speed Gaming 2 to watch probably the end game of X-Ice Blue versus Edgeworth, which started probably about an hour ago. I'm not sure if there were any delays over there. You can also stick around because in about an hour, Zarby89 and Rainbow Poogle are going to be squaring off in their Final Fantasy Randomizer match over on Randomania 4. And if you are sick of Final Fantasy 1, but not sick of the Final Fantasy series, the Final Fantasy 4 Free Enterprise Weekly is going to be over on Randomania 3 starting in about half an hour. So, plenty of action still to come tonight on the Randomania network. And while we're kind of just talking, shout-outs to our restreamer Norastra, our tracker Melee Wizard, and to all of our runners who, if you look in the chat, you can absolutely stand to follow. And, I guess this guy who's been in the booth with me is worth a follow too. What'd you say, Tilo?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I know the commentary came together late for this one, but you two make a great team from what I've heard before. So I appreciate you guys, Randomania, Melee Wizard, Narastra. Thank you.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, it's one of those things, without the runners, this, you know, the commentary is just lagniappe. We're here just to make things a little easier to keep up with. Even if we miss a lot of things, because there are 4 of y'all, y'all really need to cool it with the double headers. This is what, the 3rd this week?
Well, supposedly it's what the people want. More action on the screen, so.
Well, I guess if it's what the fans want. Grr. Meanwhile, though, Whitemageisaguy is, you know, doing work on Kraken. I think he's in a similar position to what papafoiz was dealing with. Excuse me. Really only having magic and that defense sword to work with, but doing work.
Oh wow, he went black belt.
Yeah, he did. We were honestly expecting him to go Dan strats if he, like, found some decent gear early on, but I guess with the, you know, difficulty in finding a good spot to grind combined with actually finding some decent equipment, he opted to just kind of have the black belt there as a secondary combatant. And I think he did get him up to level 21, so with that power bonk, he actually is able to do some work.
No life, though, because of the Red Wizard. Hopefully he gets a little bit easier time here.
He brat Tiamat on the 2nd try.
Okay, so Whitemageisaguy is potentially going to finish this in under an hour, considering how paper Chaos was. Okay, probably not under an hour, but close to, well, not under an hour now, but you know what I mean. He's going to post a time
under
close to 2 hours.
For anyone watching right now, that's why you pick up Brack. I'm kicking myself. I had 2 casters that could have done that. What a joke.
I know miaut spent a lot of time throwing out Desperation Banes after Tiamat's Cure 4. That didn't work out for him.
I tried the same with the Bane sword when I was down to 2, and nothing landed. I couldn't even Bane Tiamat 1. I tried several times on that.
Just going with 1 bonk and then just tearing into Chaos with his black belt. Yeah, he probably is gonna... Yeah, no, he is sticking with just going ahead and getting that melee out there and throwing some magic into the mix. But this Chaos didn't seem to have too much that was rude, so I expect that Whitemageisaguy will be able to join us here in a sec, knock on wood.
If I'm not mistaken, if he gets this done, this would surpass his personal best by quite some time.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. There it is. Yeah, just barely squeaking over the 2-hour mark. Yeah, Whitemageisaguy pulling a pretty beefy whatchamacallit. I think he checked in at like a 3.5-hour seed in week 1 against Rainbow Poogle. So, you know, as far as his tournament times go, this is a massive improvement.
The official final time was 2 hours and 41 seconds.
Not bad, not bad. I hope he pokes his head in here for a little bit.
Gonna drop out now. Thank you guys for doing the commentary, and to Narastra for doing the restream, and Melee for tracking. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time.
All right, take care, Poppy. Have a good night.
Later, Pop.
Yeah, and I imagine that we probably have a few minutes before the Randomania crew needs to start setting up for the next matchup. And I'm sure that we will be informed otherwise if that is not the case. But we'll see if White Mage pops in for a quick chat. I actually, upon retrospect, I think Whitemageisaguy may not have a mic handy, so this may be quick and to the point. But we'll see if he at least sticks his head into chat to have a quick conversation. But yeah, overall, this was a fairly entertaining seed. You know, that early floater definitely at least assured that we wouldn't be stuck here for an extended period of time.
Yeah, it was just a well-played game all around. You know, not only do I have to hand it to Whitemageisaguy for you know, sticking it through. I know that this is a PB for him, but also by being the actual winner today, by being the only one to take on a war mech.
You guys make me feel bad. I don't regret it. I'm trying to reach out to him in IRC as well for an interview, but I don't know that it's going to happen for you guys. There he goes. He says he's joining.
All right.
Thanks again, guys. I know it was last second, so I definitely appreciate you guys jumping in to commentate. Melee again.
Well, Tilo is the one who deserves credit for jumping in last minute. I, you know, signed up earlier in the day, and he basically, you know, for those of you who don't stay on the FFR chat too much, he pretty much volunteered at the last minute, made himself available, and when we needed him, signed in. So, all right. So Whitemageisaguy should be along here in a minute. Just double confirming that. But in the meantime, enjoy the soothing sounds of the crystal theme.
Did anyone find Life 2? I don't have that in my notes anywhere.
Level 8. It was in Gaia, I believe.
Of course.
Yeah, miaut actually did pick it up, you know, basically in anticipation of the possibility that grinding with that TOFR would require enough grinding.
Also picked up Fast, which was at level 8.
Basically, this was the unfriendly magic level seed.
Well, that's not a big deal. The forced character was, it was a mage. I thought about danning him. I was going to wait. If I didn't see Nuke within the first 3 levels, that black mage was going to go down.
Yeah, that is a legitimate call. You know. But yeah, what are you going to do with the rest of your evening, Falconic, since we still have a few moments before White Mage joins us?
I would like to... is the Ice Blue match already over? Are they still running?
I'm not entirely sure. I know they started fairly close to on schedule, so... I would imagine that with those two, if they didn't get a troll seed, one of them's probably close to hitting TOFR.
Okay. Probably end up watching a little bit of the Zarbi Poogle. Is that on Randomania?
That's going to be on Randomania 4, I believe. Like, y'all basically squeaked in right before everything was scheduled to start on the Randomania network. As evidenced by the fact that they're on RM4.
Reach out to him one more time. I don't know if he knew that he needed to come into Discord?
Oh no, I got a hold of him on Discord. He's just stretching his legs real quick before he joins us.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. We probably aren't going to have much time to chat, but you know, like I said, we have a few minutes. So okay, there he is now. So I'll pull him in real quick, or I'll be beaten to it. GG, White Mage.
Thanks. That's a personal best for me.
Good game.
Yeah, we were just saying that. Yeah, no, that, you know, all things considered, that was an excellent run on your part.
Yeah, I thought I did pretty well too. There's a couple of mistakes that I made, like, first of all, I forgot I didn't have the cube the first time I went to Mirage Tower, so that made me have to go all the way out, but I don't think I lost too much time because of that. And I also had to be kind of a little silly and take on Warmack. I just couldn't stand it. I thought that he showed up and I just was fully powered and I had to take him out. So, and I lost a little bit of time out of that. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with it because that is a personal best. So that's good.
Yeah. No, you. Let's see. You definitely won chat's heart going after that Warmack fight. Let's see, I think it was Miaut who ran from Warmack twice, and Falconic ran from it once.
So that's really unusual that there was like 4 Warmack appearances in this entire run. Isn't that like, what's the odds of that?
Isn't it 3 and 64 to see him at all?
Only in vanilla. I believe y'all are playing with the flags that turn on the, where encounters fall in the table.
Gotcha.
So Warmack can be more common, as can T-Rexes. But yeah, papafoiz is the only one who did not see a Warmack. In fact, he didn't see any encounters on the Bridge of Destiny. So,
wow.
You know, grumble about him under your breath appropriately.
Well, I had a couple of hero runs too. I think that at least I had 2 floors in Temple of Fiends that were hero runs, right? The Earth floor and the Water floor. So I got my share of good luck too.
Yeah, no, there were a couple of really good hero runs early enough in the table to really help you guys out. First of all, the question, chat, what was your PB before, well, tonight?
Oh, I think it was at 2 hours, 19 minutes, something. So it was, that's about like a 20-minute, shaved off about 20 minutes off my time.
Yeah. And this beats your last race by a solid hour or hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I had one that was like more than 3 hours, but recently, my last race I just did without streaming it was 2 hours and 30 minutes. So that beat that by half an hour. I mean, that's like a huge chunk off. I mean, that's like I haven't really done. I came in at slightly over 2 hours, almost on the nose here. And the other ones are like at least 2 hours and 20 minutes towards a half an hour, and sometimes for more awful seeds into 3 hours. So it's a significant improvement.
Yeah. Chat also pointing out, and I guess this does warrant mention, you have no idea how lucky that Brack on TI2 was.
That's what I told. That's what Falconic told me after I got out, that he had like a string of nuke and nuclear and all sorts of awful stuff, and I just thought I'd try. But first of all, my magic wasn't really all that impressive. I don't think I had nuke at an early level, but that was about it. And I ended up just trying Brack to see if I could get rid of him quickly, and it paid off. So that was a relief.
Yeah,
Oh,
2
move.
nuclears and a Cure 4, and High Absorb.
Basically, yeah.
And hit like a truck. And took out my white mage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna ever bypass Brack again. I think I saw it and I didn't pick it up, thinking I've got the. I think at that point I had Bane Sword. I don't know, but Brack on Team Net too.
And I believe that we are getting the signal to go ahead and move on so that they can get set up for the Zelda 2 Max rando matchup. So, GG to y'all, and thanks for watching, those of you who are still here. So yeah, thanks again to Norestra, who is pulling the massive vaudevillian cane out, metaphorically speaking. So, on that note, if no one else has anything to add, I believe that this is a good time to go ahead and sign off.
GG doll.